So welcome back to another weekly analysis video where we go over all our pairs that we plan on trading for the week. So let's get into it. We start on the pound US dollar on the daily. So we do this, mark out the major daily highs here, and then the major lows of the daily too, and this internal lows created here. So what we're looking for going into next week is, we've been seeing this bullish push for a while on pound USD, and then we've seen this area here broken, so we should anticipate more movement towards the upside on GU. So how it's reflected on the 4H. On the 4H, we are seeing, again in line with the idea of the market's been in this bullish phase right here, this high broken. So we'll now mark out our major areas here too. Zooming out for better context. So we have this previous high that's broken now, this what I consider a major low, and this major low too. So okay, let's add one more level as potential targets here. So if we do this, we can now zoom back in. We're seeing that price has broken, even if briefly, in this area here. So we can anticipate that price would either pull back to around these areas or these areas here before continuing back up, or we could see price do this, since it's at a high time frame level, we could see it bounce a bit here before it eventually moves up. So this is what I am looking for right now. I am bullish on pound USD. The only point where I'll start changing my bias towards the market is when price starts breaking areas like this demand area here. So once it starts breaking this demand area here, I'll start looking for more evidence of price getting into a bearish phase. But for now, we are sticking to this. So yeah, that's what we're looking for on the 4H. Let's just quickly check on our 15 minutes how it would be reflected. High created. Let's do this. What can I do? High created here, 15 minutes, and then major high low that created the high here, and then so we are on the 15 minutes, again in line with our analysis on the 4H that we expect price to come back to these areas. We might see a break of this area here for price to do this and then do this before continuing up, or we might see price come back to these areas here before it moves back up. So that's what I'm expecting on GBPUSD, but I'll be waiting for more evidence to have a clearer insight of what it wants to do. If it starts breaking these areas here, we'll be looking for demand areas that were created around these areas here before we continue up. So yeah, that's my analysis on GU. On Euro USD, let's see on your USD we're seeing, and again let's mark out these major areas. Okay, let's do this instead. Mark out these major areas, this here, this here, and then this here. But then I have seen on the daily, we're seeing this reintroduction of bullishness after price had attempted to break this area to continue lower. Like last week I was anticipating that price would come back to this demand area here, supply area here, before continuing lower, but as you can see it failed, and then this area here held. So this area right here has also held, but let's just adjust this and take into account this area instead, since we've had the movements within this area. So going into next week, we are seeing signs of bullishness on the EU in line with its correlated pair, the GU, and then we have the supply area here. So if we are looking for continued bullishness and buys, we are either waiting for price to break this area and come to around this area before you buy, because you can't buy into this supply area here, or wait for price to pull back in around here before it continues up. How is it reflected on the 4H? On the 4H, we can see that, zoom out again for a better picture. Major low here, major low here, and then this area here as our last area that broke this low here. So this, and then I'll now mark out this one too as an internal area of interest. So this, so if you're looking for continued buys, first of all, you might see price come back to these areas, this supply area here, before pulling back to say in and around here, and then potentially breaking this area. The fuck did I do? Before potentially breaking these areas. I think I do now. So price comes into this supply here, pulls back to this supply areas here before continuing back up, or we start seeing this price respecting this supply area, and then the bullish momentum gets depleted, and then we start seeing actual signs of bearishness. But this is not for now. This is for when price has printed more PE, and then we have more evidence of what could potentially happen. But going into next week, again, I'll just be looking for price to come back into these areas, pull back before we start looking for our buy opportunities on the EU. Let me zoom in a bit. This area is choppy. I should be looking for a supply area here. That would be interesting. Okay, let's mark out this area here as a potential supply area that price could come back to before continuing its move up. This area here, potential supply for price to come back to before continuing its move up, because we have candle formation. What I look for when marking out the supply area, a demand area, is usually two things being ticked out of three things. The most ideal, the A plus demand areas and then the A plus supply areas have three characteristics: candle formation, where you have base, drop, and then a rally with this bullish engulfing candle of the last depleted candle here. That's the candle formation. And then the second thing after the candle formation is displacement. So displacement is when you have multiple candles moving strongly in one direction. So as you can see in this place, this is displacement. And then the third is to confirm the demand area is that candle formation, that displacement breaking a previous high or previous low. So like in this case now, this high has been broken, so we are seeing three things being ticked to confirm that this can be a potentially good demand area. So we wait here for next week. Let's see how it's reflected on the 15 minutes. On the 15 minutes, obviously we are not in the market, but last week this could have been a potential opportunity with price going back to this demand area here before we start moving up. But going into next week again, we just look for price to tap into these areas before coming back to maybe supply areas here in the 15 minutes before we look for buys, or back down to this area because of the 4H context. So yeah, that's what I am looking for on EU. Properly mark out the 15 minutes. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for on the EU. And then gold spots. We have this high here on the daily, and then we have this major high low here and this high here. So we are seeing that price has broken this area here, and we could see a couple of things. Right now I'm seeing multiple areas of potential problems, because we have this supply area here and we have other supply areas here and here too. So whatever buys I'm looking for will not be in and around these areas here, in and around here. Do not be in and around here. I'll be waiting for price to break these areas before looking for buys because of the potential traffic that could be here. So instead I would be looking for price to pull back down to in and around these areas here before we continue back up. So yeah, how is it reflected on the 4H? 4H. So on the 4H we have this major low here, and then we have interesting, we have this major lower high before price created this price action here. Usually I would mark out this one as the major lower high, but then when I have price printing consolidated pattern after near the lower high, I usually go for the next one up as opposed to the one that is close to the consolidation. But we will still mark out this area here. Yep. Mark out this area here. So if had price break out of the area, touch our daily, let's properly mark it out, our daily supply, pull back, and then now we're seeing potential sign of continuation back into the supply area again. So for now, the movement on gold is a bit choppy, so we should look for clearer evidence of what it wants to do. I would be looking for clearer evidence of what gold wants to do, because we have the supply area here, but then we're in a bullish nature. So I would be waiting for more confirmation as to what it wants to do, whether it wants to come back again into the supply before dropping down, or coming back into it, pulling back before continuing back up. But for now, I'll just be patiently looking for more evidence on GU, on gold, XAUUSD, which is technically GU too, but yeah, on XAUUSD. So yeah, that's my analysis for the week. And yeah, if you like the content, like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you next week again. I plan on doing this continuously every week, doing the analysis and then posting it. So if you find value in it, consider liking and then subscribing too.